Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about having good judgment, discernment, being careful to not just blindly say yes or believe every Christian thing you hear. Because for me personally, it's so easy to just hit the love button on every Christian post I see because, I want that to get seen more. The more interactions a post gets, the more it's probably going to be seen. And so it's like I keep I'm always like loving and liking posts, and I'm just like sometimes I'm like, what did I even just agree to? Do I or like liking something is like approving of it, and sometimes you got to be careful because not every message that claims to be a Christian message is actually the truth. So I think it can be very dangerous to just blindly just go, "Oh, amen, amen," and like sometimes I'm like, did I even fully understand what they even said? Because I hearted a post today, and then I saw someone in the comments that said this is unbiblical. Now all the rest of the people commenting were like, "Amen, yes, absolutely." But that one person saying it's unbiblical, it got me thinking. I'm like, did I even understand what the post meant? So I was trying to reread it, and I'm like, I'm not even sure I fully understand what they're saying with it. And I'm like, how do I know if that's actually biblical? And so I unhearted it because it's like, you gotta be careful, right? You don't want to just blindly believe or just spread misinformation, like untruths about God, about Christianity. And so, um, yeah, there's definitely a lot of that, right? Uh, Two words, Joel Osteen. Because just about everything that guy says, it's like not really biblical. He's just saying what people want to hear, and people are blindly just saying yes, amen. And so many people are just deceived. They don't realize that that's actually not biblical, and it's dangerous. Like, why are so many people following these false teachers? It's because so many people, some are genuinely deceived. They don't understand, but like so many people, they're not going to who they need to hear. People who are willing to tell them the truth, they're going to whoever is going to tell them what they like to hear. Like, if a pastor supports sin, say the rainbow flag, not Noah's flood, not the promise from that, right? But the other kind of rainbow, right? With six colors, not seven. You get what I'm saying? There are churches that support that. And some people who are into that lifestyle, they refuse to go into a church that doesn't accept that, but they'll just applaud and praise the churches that do. And that's a very clear example of someone who's just going to where they like to hear, what they want to hear, have their ears tickled. They don't like conflict. They don't like being disagreed with. They're just going to whoever agrees with them. But that's not how church is supposed to be. We're supposed to go to agree with God. God isn't supposed to agree with man. Man is supposed to agree with what God has designed, you know? And some people, they don't like what God made. They don't like his plan. They think their plans are better, and no. Our plans are horrible, you know? If I had things my way, not God's way, the world would be a mess. you know. So thank God that my plans didn't work out however I would have wanted them had I not followed God. You know what I mean? So just be wise, be careful. Maybe don't like every Christian post you see. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not sure what it means, like, be careful. Like, if it's like this big long post, sometimes I'm just like, oh, that's so much to read. But like, maybe don't heart it if you didn't read it because you don't actually know what you're agreeing to, right? So just something that was on my mind tonight. Just, you know, be careful. Um, and, if I can say this, if you have social media, um, like if your social media is filled with stuff that's not of God, um, maybe get rid of that. Maybe fill it all. Like I'll just say that's what I did personally. My social media, like my Facebook and Instagram and all of that, it used to be filled with nothing but Marvel content and just all this stuff that doesn't matter. It's just nonsense satisfying my flesh, right? And when a few years ago, when I finally put God first back in my life, living for Him instead of myself, I was like, I felt like I had to find a way to defeat this craving for being on social media all the time, and how I, defeated, how do I put that? Like, my solution was, well, maybe I don't necessarily have to just stop being on social media, but what if I filled my timeline with God instead of all these things that don't matter? So I think, I mean, if you haven't thought of that, if you're willing to do that, I highly recommend it. It did wonders for me. Like, it helped me focus so much more on God when it's just filled with Bible verses and just all this stuff. It's so good. Um, One Facebook page that I highly recommend, um, it's called Biblical Creation, and it just every post is just so good. Like they're always talking about like all these different ways that like show God, not that we need proof, but like how all these like miraculous things about how like there's a lot of posts about like the flood, Noah's flood, how like I don't know. There's so much. Maybe I'll show some different examples of their posts on here. But yeah, I just highly recommend that. I couldn't recommend that enough. It just I feel like it helped me grow so much closer to God by replacing all of my social media from stuff that means nothing. It's just absolutely a waste of time to something that matters. Um, Fill your friends list with a bunch of other believers. And um, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea, but sometimes I also add unbelievers, because I want them to see what I post. But I think it can be dangerous to have unbelievers because they can like attack you, and it can be a lot. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out, like, is it good to be friends with unbelievers online, or should I just be friends with only believers? But like, I want them to see the truth. It's tricky, right? And of course, there are some people that are genuinely harmful to be friends with, because if they're like into witchcraft and all that, which uh, you know, kind of unrelated, but I was on YouTube just scrolling through, and I saw this video recommended to me. It was literally this witch doing a children's toy review. We are living in dark times. Like, we are in the end of end days, man. Can you believe that? Like, oh man, I just saw that and I'm just like, this is so bizarre. What timeline are we living in, guys? Like, every day it just gets crazier and crazier. Like, this is not the world I grew up in at all, you know? But I always dreamed about what it would be like to see the last days when I was a kid, and I love it. I'm excited. I love that it's always something new. It's not boring, I'll tell you that, so. But thank you guys. God bless. Peace.